to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Welcome to the AfterMat, your source for WWE pay-per-view recaps. I'm your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me, as always, I have my tag team partner, the glamorous Anjulie. Welcome, Delisha.
I wanted to wear a WWE shirt, but I feel like they didn't deserve it tonight.
You seem to have the opinion of many of the people that I spoke to about the event, but if you guys are wondering what we're doing today, we're going to talk about Hell in a Cell 2019, the event that took place last night. Before we get into how I felt about it, because I have a broad statement to say to a lot of the people who've been tweeting at me and DMing me and texting me about this past event. Alicia, what were your thoughts on it? Because already you said, you felt like they don't deserve what you wearing a shirt or anything like that. And welcome, Entertained. How are you? So your general thoughts, Alicia?
Well, the fact that they hardly even promoted this pay-per-view should probably tell you enough about how they felt about it. And now after watching it, I see why they didn't promote it as much, because I guess they knew what they had. Started out great, and then stuff happened.
Yeah. See, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And we'll get into what happened as we go on.
Right. So for me, I feel like we'll get to the ending. It's a whole. I'm considering the ending a whole different thing in itself.
We'll get there.
But as a pay-per-view, I don't think it was bad at all, except for we'll talk about the ending. But here's a few mistakes, like I was saying with like you said, they didn't really promote it because think about it, this is probably one of the biggest weeks they've ever had, and it did actually deliver for me because I Raw, the ending of the Raw was kind of stupid, but other than that, Raw was good. But the ending was stupid with the whole Lana and Bobby Lashley thing. That was, I don't even know what the point of that was. NXT was great. It was really good. The Riddle match, like I don't know if we don't want to talk about NXT, but the Riddle and Adam Cole match was great. Finn Balor appearing, and then the I think it was Street Profits against Undisputed Era. That was another great match, and then Ciampa coming out at the end as well. That was great. And then SmackDown just blew everything out of the water. I think it blew everything out of the water for like every show that entire week, including the pay-per-view. I think SmackDown blew it out of the water, so they did a great job for Fox. So I think they're focusing on having such a big week that they didn't think about building up the pay-per-view. That's how I feel. Like they're so invested in making sure they had a great premiere week, especially for Fox SmackDown. That's what happened. Now, the mistakes were made that, like, why are they starting to build Crown Jewel pay-per-view a match, like the Team Hogan versus Team Flair? I guess bringing the nostalgia back and they had a whole segment, but, like, focus on the matches that are coming up this Sunday, not, like, 4 Sundays from now. Especially when AfterMat's not even covering Crown Jewel. They should know that by now, that they shouldn't even talk about it. So, that was a mistake. And then only advertising 4 matches going into the day of the pay-per-view. How are ticket sales supposed to be? They said it was sold out. I mean, but they'll always say that. But like, I even tweeted at WWE, I'm like, what do the ticket sales look like? Because like, they only announced 4 matches, and then like it was you who told me in our group chat saying like, oh, they announced like 5 more matches, like an hour before the event, and they were kind of like throw-in matches. So I'm gonna apologize to the group right now that we're not gonna have the same thumbnails that we normally have of the welcome whale noises. That's Tom and or Kimber. I'm guessing it's Tom. Welcome, Tom. I'm guessing like that. The reason why like I'm not gonna have the normal thumbnails I usually have for like the images, like head-to-head matchup, is because they didn't announce any matches until an hour before, and then we never got to get those card like breakdown things. So we'll have a few, but not like as I always have every single one. But yeah. Other than that, like I think they did a great job this whole week. So like people like what the whole controversy that Delisha was talking about earlier is like I don't know if like they deserve to wear a shirt. A lot of people like the first thing I got messaged in the morning was Halo was telling me like, what do you think of this whole cancel WWE network or something, or I think it was cancel WWE network, and I was like, what? I didn't hear about that. Like why? Because like I think they had great product. I mean, granted that Raw, SmackDown, NXT aren't really on WWE network. NXT was, but now it's on USA.
I think the replay, yeah.
Okay, the replays, yeah. So like. But you also have, it's not only, like, pay-per-views there. You have all the other content, like past pay-per-views, like the shows that they have. I don't even know what the shows they have because I don't really watch them, but, like, the shows that they have, like, Ride Along and, like, the table for 3 and stuff like that. I see commercials for it. So like, yeah, like it's not just the pay-per-views. And all in all, I don't think they've been bad pay-per-views lately. I think we've been giving them between a C and a B plus, like a C and a B plus. I don't think we've given anything really that bad except for maybe one pay-per-view in the past recently. But okay, Tom and or other 4 members of the band. Okay, that's what I will say from now on for this one. Yeah, so like I don't think it was bad. I enjoyed it, and like this pay-per-view was pretty good. Like this Hell in a Cell matches are great, except for we'll talk about the ending in a while. But I don't think I think people are acting too rashly, especially because now they have competition kind of thing. It's kind of like, oh, get your stuff together, otherwise, you guys might lose us all. I don't think they really have to worry because WWE's not going to go anywhere. They're a machine that keeps churning and churning and churning, and no matter who they lose, they always get new talent. And sometimes it's good that they lose talent because they can build up those young talents that we've been saying, why don't we see enough of these people, kind of thing, So, people are not going to go anywhere. They're going to keep buying tickets. It's going to take something really, really drastic for them to like lose their base. That's how I feel. So I think it's a little too rash. People are being because they're really. I'm sure it's from the heat of because they were booing after they stayed after and booed extra after the event went off air and all that. Yes, that's great. That's what they want to see. They want to elicit a reaction. Maybe not the reaction they want to see, but they are eliciting a reaction. And now people are going to probably definitely tune in to see what's going to happen tonight. But unfortunately, I'll tell you guys right now. I just read that Bray Wyatt and Sasha Banks will not be appearing because they're not medically cleared. Now, I don't know if that's an angle or a work, but they're not going to be there tonight. I'm sure Seth Rollins is going to get booed a lot. I can probably guarantee that. But yeah, I don't think it was necessary to start a whole movement. I understand what they're doing. Like, good for them to have their opinions and do what they're doing, but I don't think WWE's yet to, hurt us that badly. In my opinion, do you? I don't know if you agree or not. And welcome, Arrington, and welcome Halo_Smythe. Halo_Smythe, I just mentioned you earlier. That's what led into this comment. My little tirade I just went on, or not really tirade, but whatever little thing I went on. Halo_Smythe is because of what you tweeted at me this morning. So, Delisha, any thoughts before we move on to the first match?
Yeah, I agree. At least to me, I'm more likely going to be like a WWE mark for like life, probably, just because it's so ingrained in me to like watch and stuff like that. Like you said, it would take something like really drastic, or like the product to, in my opinion, is really going to have to like tank in order for you to be like, you know what, this is not for me. But yeah, and for a lot of people, last week was their first taste of AEW. They had to watch some clips online. For a lot of people, including me included, this was like their first, exposure to AEW. So I feel like they still have a bit time to go to really see what they can do. So to say that, AEW is just going to surpass in WWE right now, it's kind of asinine to think right now, because they still are so brand new in terms of like having this big TV deal, big TV production type of show. But I'm excited for them because I love, discovering new things, and especially something accessible. So I feel like we still have a long ways to go to see how AEW can proceed in the long run. And like you said, WWE is coming out this really big premiere week, as they were saying, with their season premiere for Raw, and then NXT going to TV instead of just strictly on the network, and then SmackDown on Fox. So they did have a big week, but you still can't forget that you have a big pay-per-view coming up on a Sunday. And like I said, the promotion for this was so mediocre. Because I only just read about these matches, like you said, an hour before, I totally forgot we were going to be watching as we were going to. I was like, oh yeah, this was announced. Oh, this was announced. Oh yeah, they did this on the pre-show. And so it was very lackluster. I don't know, as a whole, the pay-per-view, it wasn't a total disaster. It's just that the ending left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And I am glad that the fan let WWE know that they were not happy with the product that you put out. And as a consumer, that is your 100% right. You should be able to let the producers know that, hey, this ain't cool. So it is going to be interesting to see either how they spin it or how they adjust to audience reaction tonight. I'm pretty, like you said, I think it's gonna be a lot of people tuning in to see what will happen. So it's interesting, but so
Yeah.
let's talk about it.
And well, Entertain just said brought up a good point that a lot of returning fans from the Revolution, ever since this was all happening, a lot of people are returning and they're kind of turned off by what happened. But like I said, like I don't think it's hurting them, and even if they lose people, they're gonna always gain new fans. Like it's like I said, it's a machine that keeps churning regardless of what happens, and definitely is gonna take something drastic for them to stop. Like there's things that like we don't cover. We don't cover Crown Jewel just because of some of the things that go on behind the scenes, politics, kind of things like that. And we have as a viewer and as a fan, we have to choose whether or not to watch it or not watch it, not support it, not cover it. We're not covering Crown Jewel. That's next pay-per-view. We're not covering that. I will probably watch it because I like to watch all the pay-per-views and stuff. And if we need be, when Delisha talks about her After Talk, the final episode of the season 4, episode 4 of season 1 of After Talk, I might chime in with some Crown Jewel stuff because that's what I do. I report about the, things. Like, I'm not the guy who takes I'm like the guy in the front lines taking the bullets for people. Game of Thrones ripoff. Yeah, he's got the what's it called? View. He's got the. He's kind of like the Triple H's crown. It kind of looks like, in my opinion. But I don't know. Yeah, and he's talking about Corbin's outfit. And yeah, a lot of great matches were overshadowed by what happened at the end. Like I said, it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It was just the ending that left it, and that's the last thing you're left with. But you know what? I always say this. Like I always get pissed about things, but then I'm like, wait, maybe this thing in the long run planned. Because I think I was talking to Sidewalk as it was happening, and I'm like, well, if this person wins, Survivor Series is the next Survivor Series is the next legit pay-per-view, right? And they usually do champion versus champion. So how are they going to put Brock against that person who we all wanted to win, and who looks weaker? Who do they make look like the loser kind of thing? Maybe that's why they had Seth Rollins retain kind of thing, and then have more of a chase because people like seeing the chase. Like, they like seeing Kofi chase, right? And now this guy is kind of like the new guy that they want to see chase, even though he's the heel, right? Supposedly, but he's kind of like that Austin, the heel that everyone loves, and Austin chased for it, right? So, but without further ado, we're talking a lot about the behind the scenes, and it did spark up a lot because I got so many people telling me, hey, make sure you mention I wasn't happy about the ending. I wasn't happy. That's most of the stuff I got. And they wanted me to tell you guys because they couldn't be here. Tom, the Road Raider, could not be here tonight. He's like, just make sure people know they buried a character in 15 minutes. I don't know if I agree with that because it was pretty. I don't know about that, but that's what he wanted us to let you guys know. But let's start out with the pre-show, which was announced right at the pre-show, featuring Lacey Evans versus Natalya.
Yeah. I don't know because I came to the pre-show kind of late, just in time for this match. Was it a shorter pre-show than normal? Or was it the standard 2 hours?
1 hour. No, 1 hour. It's usually 1 hour.
Okay. Good. Okay, maybe it's just for the big four.
2 hours is like Survivor Series, WrestleMania, stuff like that.
Yeah, because we normally sometimes will get 2 matches on the pre-show, but this time we only had one, so it was kind of nice to still be able to make dinner and not worry about missing a match. And it was Natalya versus Lacey Evans. It's still kind of up in the air on why these two, but because at first I figured it was Natalya getting in the mix with Lacey to try to help build up that heel factor, but then Natalya's kind of been heelish for a couple of weeks, so it's been very confusing on exactly who I'm supposed to cheer for and who I'm supposed to not like. 'Cause at the moment I'm not liking either one of them, but it was a match that went on for about 10 minutes or so, which is longer than they usually give these kind of mid-card, low-tier women's matches on a pre-show, to where they were pretty much just brawling back and forth for the most part of the match, and then where we had Lacey Evans going up for the top to do a moonsault that she missed, and then Natalya would put her into the sharpshooter, which Lacey Evans, I feel tapped out pretty quickly. Yep. But nevertheless, Natalya gets the victory. And you're like, oh, cool, all right. So I guess Natty's the face or whatever, and Lacey's obviously the heel. But then Natty goes and gives her a forearm strike, or a somewhat women's right-esque type of move to knock Lacey out after the match. And you're just like, okay, that was kind of dickish. What was that for? Because I don't recall Lacey really giving Natty that much heat to like warrant some sort of yeah, like get her natty type of reaction. At least that's not the reaction it got from me. It was like, oh, all right, well, what are we doing with this? And again, since I figured we were trying to build Lacey up as like another like heel character to for another face to get to rival against, I didn't quite know what the booking was decision was in this situation. And then I realized that that was probably going to be the theme for the night for me. I realized is that I there was like some booking decisions that I didn't quite agree with or wasn't quite sure how we're going to move on with this. But I don't know, it's a pretty standard match. And then now I honestly don't know what this is for because now we're going to see them again fight tonight on Raw. So I was like, what was the point of this pre-show match? So we shall see.
I think this might bump maybe Natalia up into like number one contender spot. But I think Lacey's going to be moved to SmackDown and then face the. We'll get to who won the SmackDown Women's Championship match. But I think that person who won that against Lacey was a very kind of like a mirror image of each other. They can both cut promos, both very athletic, both big. So I think it'd be a good a feud for those two to go if Lacey gets drafted to SmackDown because as we know this Friday the Superstar Shakeup happens with the draft. Usually it happened the Superstar Shakeup happens after WrestleMania, but now they're doing a draft with this new premiere stuff. So it'll start this Friday and carry over to next week's Raw next Monday. So I think Lacey is going to be pushed to SmackDown and have a feud with the person who ended up winning the SmackDown Women's Championship match. All right. As for this, like, why does Lacey do a moonsault? No one ever hits a moonsault, really. It's back to Kurt Angle days. Like, no one really ever hits the moonsault.
Unless you're
And,
EO
yeah. And, yeah, Entertainer was saying, like, he does like him, that she can cut a promo, I mean. Another thing is Natalia did, like you said, Natalia made her tap really quick without really working on the leg throughout the match. If you watch the women's SmackDown Women's Championship match, they were working on Bayley's leg a while, so, like, and we'll talk about who won that, but like tapping out that fast without working on the leg is kind of I don't know, leg or back, lower back, however you wherever you put the pressure on the first sharpshooter, depending on how you sit down on it, or unless you're The Rock, because you put more pressure on yourself apparently, and you're more in pain yourself than the person that's actually in it. But okay, next match was the Raw Women's Championship featuring champion Becky Lynch defending against Sasha Banks in our first of two Hell in a Cell matches.
Yeah, so long-standing rivals, or long history rivals, I should say, with between Sasha and Becky going on here, with Banks like returning to action, trying to attain more championship gold for the boss. Um, we actually started out outside the cell, which I don't. I probably should have watched it beforehand, but I feel like they did the same thing with Charlotte and Sasha. I think they started outside. Anyway, that's besides the point. But so they were fighting outside, and I think people thought that they might have been going up to the cage, but that was not the case. Becky slammed Sasha back into the cell, and then also taking the chain of the cell door from the ref to wrap around her hands. You punch Sasha in the face, which I thought was pretty cool. It was like one of the first like really cool spots of the night for this match. And then as with any cell match, because it's uh supposedly Astra chair, no DQ, a lot of weapons came into place with it turns into almost like a TLC Hell in a Cell match because that's how many tables, ladders, and chairs were in the ring or outside the ring. To where we also had Sasha doing a lot of her Meteora I don't know, not kick, but meteor moves like either in the ring or outside the ring a lot. Um, especially one onto a ladder in the corner cell, which is pretty neat. And then of course you just have when you have two pretty good friends. I don't know if they're considered best friends, but two really good friends, two long story who started in this business around the same time, just knowing each other so well, I already knew that we were gonna get a really good match. And but I know that everyone's going to talk about the biggest spot of the night, which is Becky setting up kendo sticks and uh kendo sticks in the corner of the ring, and then a chair on top of that, to where she then does the uh leg drop onto Sasha, who she set up in the chair off onto the ring, which was pretty neat. Of course, that got the whole "this is awesome" chance going. Of course, and holy shit as well. Sorry. Oh yeah, this is not a PG-13 show, or it is a PG-13 show. So sorry, children, if you're watching. Um, but it did. There was a lot of near falls going on in this match, where you really thought either Becky or Sasha was going to come out on top. But we do get Becky retaining by having Sasha tap to the disarmor, I believe. Um, uh, which I wasn't sure how I felt about. I was like of two minds of Becky winning. Of one, I love Becky winning because it's Becky freaking Lynch is the man. But on the other hand, again, but we have to see what the long game is. We've been building up Sasha to really be like this, like total badass, or to get back to her like NXT-esque legit boss ways. But I feel like we haven't quite reached that status yet. And then of course we have after the match like Sasha like tearing up on the top of the ramp. So I'm like, I feel like that's not, boss behavior. She should, I mean, the not the chicken shit, but the rage of not getting the job done at herself, I can see that. But crying at the edge of the ramp, what kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But depending on what we're going to do with Becky or Sasha in the long run, probably is right to keep Becky on that winning momentum. So what do you think about the match?
It's supposed to had a sidewalk who just joined us, and he says he missed 90% of the pay-per-view, so I guess he should be happy. That is not true, because it's actually a great pay-per-view. The only 10% that you ended up seeing was the bad part, which made everyone have a sour taste the entire pay-per-view. It was actually a phenomenal pay-per-view. Well, we can't use... Well, AJ Styles did wrestle, so it was a phenomenal pay-per-view. Yeah, that's not exactly what I said, entertaining. 90% of it was the good part. The 10% you saw was... Not even 10%, like the 1% that you saw was the terrible... I actually started watching the end of the pay-per-view, I remember that. But the 1% that everyone's pretty much mad about is the part. This match was great. I actually, like you were mentioning, I love the Meteoras, and she did like 3 or 4 of them, and they all looked really good. She usually like is iffy about them, but she took them on like the sides of the cage. She took them like on a table, onto a ladder. Like it was just looked awesome. So like this was a great match. I was expecting a great match, and it was. Like they delivered. What I see happening, because we said I really thought Sasha would probably end up winning. Because I felt like they maybe this will give it to her because she kind of like felt bad and left and all that kind of thing. I mean, I guess you can't really reward somebody for that, but maybe, just maybe, at the Crown Jewel, if they allow women to wrestle this time, because they were about to do that, right, with Alexa and somebody else, but then they said no at last minute. If they do let them fight, you could see Sasha winning it there in Crown Jewel, or at Survivor Series in a rematch. I think she could win it because that'll be a bigger stage. But usually what they do is champion versus champion, usually. So I don't know if I want to see that kind of thing again. But I could see Sasha either winning it prior to Survivor Series. I think I could see Sasha having it at Survivor Series, having the championship. Somehow winning it prior to Survivor Series. Because it's still over a month away.
I feel like since now we have somewhat of a legit brand split with USA and Fox, and they've been hammering it home with the upcoming draft that everyone wants to have that brand not I guess superiority of trying to make whatever network they're on the better brand. I feel like they might go back to its older roots before we got that stupid bragging rights pay-per-view of it being SmackDown versus Raw. So where you kind of will get your champion versus champion, whether it be on separate teams, in matches like that, kind of going back to that old Survivor Series.
And I think SmackDown will take the upper hand this year, especially because of the Fox deal. I think that's my prediction now. SmackDown will end up winning because I think Raw almost swept.
It's on camera, so you heard it here.
But I like the back in the day, like old, like you're talking about old school, Survivor. I mean, like back in the day before you were born, like 5-on-5 or 4-on-4 matches of 2 teams that had a feud, kind of like what they're doing at Crown Jewel with Team Hogan, Team Flair. But they used to do that back in the day with it would be like Shawn Michaels, Diesel, like all those guys, like against like another like Razor Ramon, all those kind of like faces kind of thing. But that's what I kind of like to see again. But we'll probably see, like you said, Raw versus SmackDown throughout the entire night, and SmackDown will end up winning. But otherwise, it's still a great match, and I really think Sasha will probably be champion before Survivor Series if they do have a way to do that, because she's won on Raw before. I'm not sure if it's true, but maybe I know she's won a championship on Raw. Might have been her first ever. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it was, because she started crying after saying, because people were saying you deserve it. So it was, I think she won her first ever Raw, championship on Raw. So might happen again. The next match, I think you're covering this too. It features Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan versus the Bludgeon Brothers, or Eric Rowan and Luke Harper.
Yes, because we haven't really called them the Bludgeon Brothers since they've returned. It's always been Harper and Rowan. So back to that, I guess. Which this match was supposed to start out as a standard tag team match, but another late rendition, we've turned it to a tornado tag match, which I think was appropriate maybe for this match, because it gave it a more like chaotic feel and kind of like up the stakes a little bit. Even though this was an enemy of thy enemy is thy friend type of partnership between Reigns and Bryan. But I feel like for most of the match, Roman and Harper did have the upper hand. They kind of neutralized Roman Reigns right away, while they continue to do double team maneuvers on Daniel Bryan, with him being a smaller guy. That just makes logical sense. And then and then of course, as some like the more bigger men coming into the ring now, they're a lot more athletic than they used to be, because we're getting Suicide Dive, who took out Reigns early on, and then where I think he legitimately Harper, that is, hit his head on the announce table while trying to take out Reigns in another way. And then we got them. I think they took the top of all three announce tables, if I'm not mistaken. But all three announce tables were definitely utilized during this match, to where they tried to set Daniel Bryan up for, I believe it was a powerbomb, who then I believe turned that to a Hurricanrana and flipped off one of the Bludgeon Brothers. I'm just gonna say that just for argument's sake. And then we get Roman Reigns out of nowhere, um, sounding like Randy Orton now. Oh gosh, to spare Roman through one of the announce tables, and then eats. But then we get Bryan and I think Harper into the ring, to where Harper gave Bryan a power bomb, but he kind of escaped that into what's it called? A dragon suplex, I believe that's called. Which then left an opening for Reigns to come back and hit his Superman punch. And then Bryan followed it up with his running knee, and then 1, 2, 3, the quote unquote baby faces win. Which the end of this match kind of made me sad on two fronts, because one, we should be building up the Harper and Rowan a little bit as the big, well, not monsters, because they don't even want, because they've been, character wise have been want to be called monsters, but as the two guys who are now back into a team and trying to get a tag team going. I feel like they could have taken the win, and without any shade to Bryan and Reigns, because whatever, those two are just too over for it to matter to them. And speaking of being over, I kind of was enjoying Daniel Bryan being a heel, because it was something we didn't really get a lot, and I feel like we had a lot more potential to work with that. But it seems like they've turned around and turned him face again. Although he could still swerve with it, but the whole him hugging Reigns and whatever, I was just like, oh well, I guess we're back to fan loving Bryan. Although that's not a knock to Bryan, because I love him either way, much to the chagrin of my co-host. But the fans are willing to get behind Daniel Bryan, whatever he does. So I don't know. We'll see. I would have loved him to stay heel, but it is what it is. And then Reigns is Reigns.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. I do agree that I like to call them Blush Brothers, but Rowan and Harper should have won, because they needed it more than Bryan and Roman Reigns. Maybe we'll see another rematch. Unfortunately, we'll probably see another rematch.
On Friday.
It wasn't a bad match. Like, it was a good match, but I just
I'm
I'm tired of seeing Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Like, I'm just tired. I like seeing these new guys come up and do something. So I don't mind seeing Harper and Rowan, but seeing these two guys like kind of wasted and then lose. So maybe they'll have a match and maybe Crown Jewel, and the losers have to shave their beards or facial hair kind of match. That's what I predict happening. We'll see if it happens. If it happens, we know that WWE is watching the show. But I think that something like that could happen. Just looking at that picture. So, but yeah. So unfortunately, the Bludgeon Brothers lost, and they really needed it. Like I guess them coming back is like you said, they don't want to be called monsters, but like they completely like demolished everyone like in the lumberjack match leading up to it. Like they demolished Roman when he first came, and when Daniel Bryan came to help him. Well, I mean when Luke Harper first returned. I mean, and then like Daniel Bryan when he came to help, they demolished him. Like why build, and then obviously they want to have the faces win at the end of the day, but like this is a time where they didn't really need to have that kind of thing.
I feel like somewhere down the line, I just want to see it. I don't know how this will work, given the status of their like heel and face statuses. I feel like them and the OC could have a pretty good match, or them and the Viking Raiders could really have a good match because they're all like athletic big men who know how to put on a good like working the mat show. So I feel like that would be a pretty cool match to see somewhere down the line at some point.
And I want to actually, I just thought of this while you were talking about that. Lacey Evans lost, right? So Natalia won, Becky won, and now Daniel Bryan and Roman won. So that's 3 faces in the 3 matches so far that won. So let's see how it goes on with the rest of the night. Next match, which was a match that was just announced an hour before. That's why I don't have an official thumbnail. It's the first of the... Well, actually, I guess the Lacey Evans wasn't an official thumbnail either, but it was close enough. This one wasn't. It was Mustafa Ali. His name, I can't even call him that anymore. So Ali was in the back talking to Kayla Braxton, I think it was, or maybe the new girl, Sarah Schreiber, and saying like how good for Kofi to do whatever he did, but it's kind of my opportunity that I lost because I got injured. And then Randy came out and said, "Oh, you never really had that opportunity. You're nothing. You get never. Last time I could have squashed you easily." And he's like, "Let's have a match." And this was a great match, if not the best match of the night. I mean, besides Becky and Becky and Sasha, this was a great match. I know you're not a fan of Randy Orton's, but you said when he does show up, he shows up. And this was great, like hard hitting. Like they left bruises on Ali. If you look at his body afterwards, he has bruises on his body because it was like stiff shots. Great counters both ways. High flying action from Ali, like you expect. And then Orton just being Orton, and. There were some great spots with the into the ring. First, Ali did like a Pele on the outside. Then he did like a somersault into the ring through the ropes into a facebuster, a jumping facebuster. That was cool. Then he went for the 450, I think it's called, and he missed the first time it landed on his feet. And then later on he went for it again, but I think Orton got out of the way. And then finally went to the outside. We had the same spot again where... Orton went to Ali, who was on the outside. Ali gave him the Pele, and then he went inside for the somersault facebuster. And as he went for the facebuster, he got RKO'd out of nowhere. That was really out of nowhere, so that was good. And he got the pin. But before that, we had one great moment where Orton went for the RKO, and he brought it down, but Ali ended up doing a handstand and countering it, and it was really well done. It looked cool, and he got out of it. And that's when he kind of went to the outside and did that's how the match ended. But it was a good match because after the match, you see Orton like tap him after he got the pin. He tapped him, and then he like kept looking at him, saying like good job, great match. And as he kind of like went like this, like patted his chest, like hoping Ali would see him, like saying like you put your heart into that great match. You could see like Orton had a real respect for this young guy. And the match that they had, because it was a great match. Like I said, if not the best match of the night, second to Sasha and Becky. This was just great. And when he got out, you see him mouth like "Great job, kid," to Ali. So it was just, I thought it was great counters, great like stiff shots, like I said, and just the ring psychology of Randy Orton showed through there, where he showed up and it showed well there. The counters, like the RKO counter, was great. And just Ali, man, he continues to impress. So I can kind of seeing like falling into that Finn Balor role. That when Finn Balor like was coming up and like he got the Universal title shot and became the first Universal Champion. I don't mind seeing Ali get up to that level now because he's really impressing with everyone. What'd you think, Alicia?
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like since his injury, with the rise of Kofi, that Ali kind of got put through the wayside a little bit. But I feel like he's been slowly been gaining back that momentum with the fan base. They've been like popping for him a little bit more, especially after this match. Again, when Randy wants to work, he will work. Despite how I feel about Randy Orton, the person or whatever. Um, when he shows up, and it was a really good match with, like you said, that reversing the RKO from a handstand was really like spot of the match for me. Um, but having him lose, I'm not. Again, it's one of those booking decisions where I was like, well, okay. I mean, what does Randy gain really by winning? I didn't see. It's not like this was for like a number one contenders match for something, whatever. So I don't know what Randy gained by winning, even though like the fans were behind Ali for the effort he put in. I feel like this could have been a like almost like come from behind type of win. But I guess because we saw that with someone else later on in the night, I guess they just couldn't give it to two people in a row. Um, but
Oh, there she is.
But yeah, I just don't. I would have preferred to see Ali win, not because like, oh my gosh, I'm such a big fan, but I feel like on a narrative angle, it would have worked out a little better.
I think what's gonna happen is it's gonna be a build up to like, I almost had you, man. I was this close, and Orton's are like, yeah, like you did, but then Crown Jewel, he's gonna put him over, because Ali, if I guess I don't know his background, but he might be from Saudi Arabia or like the Middle East
No, he's from
somewhere.
Detroit.
But like his character, because like I think he's practicing Islam, right? He's a Muslim. That's
Yeah, yeah.
and all that. So I think they might have him rematch at Crown Jewel and him put him over as like, because this is gonna be like the learning experience that he had. He was able to counter the RKO, but he made that one mistake because he was gonna say like, I was that close to having you, and he's like, I'll give me another shot. I'll definitely beat you, kind of thing. And then Orton's gonna put him over. This was kind of like I feel like a lot of this tonight was setting up for further storylines, future storylines, going into a bigger pay per view like Survivor Series, and that's why I feel about the Becky Sasha thing, because I think Sasha's going to end up being a champion going into Survivor Series, and I think for this match as well, and another match later on we'll talk about, but this match as well, I think he's gonna be like, listen, man, we got to go at it again, and I think it'll be a Crown Jewel with the rematch, and we'll see even better match possibly with Ali coming out on top. That's how I see it. And I don't know if Orton's a heel or face right now, because he was acting like he's always like his like the awesome type of character, like the heel that you like to love, but he wasn't even like heelish, like he wasn't doing cheap shots or anything. He was just like a good like. So I'll say this is a halfway down the line. So we'll say it's a tie for the face winning kind of thingy. So it's like 3-0 for the heel and 1 for the fate, 1 for the tie. So that's how we got so far. Next match features Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Your I keep wanting to say SmackDown champion, but they're not. They're just the women's champions, tag team champions, against probably the worst named group in WWE, the Kabuki Warriors. I don't understand why they're the Kabuki Warriors. It makes no sense other than that it being a racial thing, which is pretty dumb. I thought they're over that by now. Welcome, Otero. How are you? I just think it's kind of like, I don't know I can't think of the word that I want to use for them. It's off color, I guess, kind of thing. But this is the same organization that has like the New Day dancing and stuff like that, and all the Street Profits like rapping and like that's what they do. I guess that's how they it's just known for that's how they are. So I guess that's how we have to look at it. But it's kind of a stupid name. I think Asuka and Kairi Sane would just been a better name, as Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are. But I don't also like their theme song, how it's like mixed batch, kind of like stop halfway through, start the other one, stop halfway through, start the other one, stop halfway through. Yeah, whatever.
Poorly mixed or whatever. I can't believe I'm saying this, but actually the mix of Baron Corbin starting out with like the royal music.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was much more better use of a mixture of songs.
Yeah,
than
this is not cut well.
I mean, I like both. I like peanut butter and jelly, and I like tuna salad. But I'm not gonna put them together to make a remix. It's just.
But if you like jelly and you like peanut butter, you get Baron Corbin, right? Because you get peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Anyway.
But yeah, so this match, like, I guess it was, if you've been watching, as you guys know, I fast forward through SmackDown and Raw. But if Alexa Bliss or The Rock or CM Punk or anybody else comes on that I enjoy, I watch it. So if you've been watching Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross matches, it's been the same match the last 2 months. It'd be like Alexa getting in, doing her moves over and over, and then like just make a new song for them. I agree with Taro. And then she'll get her upper hand. Then the other team will get the upper hand on her and kind of cut off the ring in half. And then she'll make the hot tag to a furious Nikki. But usually Nikki starts it off or whatever and like gets a little riled up, and then gets Alexa in, who shows off all her moveset, her normal moveset. Then the other team gets the upper hand, and then Alexa will make the hot tag to Nikki, who comes in like a house of fire and ends up winning the match. That's basically what happened in this match. Nikki started it, kind of was like doing well. Then Alexa came in, did her moves like I'm still calling the move the Disney's, all right, because she's a big Disney fan. So Disney's, where she does the knee drop into a back handspring into another knee drop. That's what I like to call it. And then eventually I can't want to say Io Shirai because we mentioned her earlier. Kairi Sane and Asuka got the upper hand, cut the ring in half. Eventually, Alexa made the hot tag to Nikki. Nikki came in like a house of fire, started knocking them out, and then I guess she was trying to make the tag to Alexa back, but Kairi came around and pulled her off the apron. And while that was happening, the ref and Nikki Cross got distracted by it, but Alexa was able to get back on the apron and do a somersault off onto Kairi. And then Nikki turned around and got the green mist into her face by Asuka, thus, I guess, cementing them as heels. And then rolling up and getting the pin and getting the... then she was like a roundhouse kick to knock out Nikki, and then pinned her 1, 2, 3, thus making your new women's champion, tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors, and our first official heels, I guess, to win the match. Even though I don't know if they're official heels, they could be kind of... They won by heel tactics, so I kind of think that's heelish. So that's why I'm going to say that they're the heels. But is it cool to see? Maybe it's a little too late for them to win, but I guess they should have won a few pay-per-views prior to that, or they should have beaten the Iconics we said back, right, when they had like a Fatal 4-Way or something like that. They should have beaten them. Well, one there, but they kind of held it off. This whole Nikki and Alexa thing, I don't know why they even did that. Everyone thought that it was going to be broken up by like Alexa turning on Nikki, but I was like, wouldn't it be cool if Nikki actually went crazy and turned on Alexa? That didn't end up happening. Maybe we'll see another rematch eventually, and that will happen. But I don't understand why, they were even a tag team. But yeah, we have new women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors. Delisha?
Yeah, agreed. Like, the match was solid. Like, not terrible, but not, like, overtly great. I did like Kairi Sane going over to Nikki's corner and then just eye poking her off the apron. I thought that was just pretty funny. And then seeing the return of like the green mist. I'm not sure if this is something she did in Japan already before, but to see her do it on the WWE stage is pretty cool because we haven't really seen that in a while, and it's usually only done by like the Asian superstars because that's or the Japanese superstars because that's their thing. So I thought it was pretty cool. It's like a new agreement for like a newer generation who probably may have never seen that before, which is shocking in and of itself. But yeah, for them who probably have never seen it before, I thought that was pretty cool. And then again, to seeing Asuka and Kairi kind of get back to form. Because I remember before they hadn't been on television in a while, and then they had a match against Mandy and Sonya, and they like came like they were ready to go, and I was like, okay, I think we might be building them back up. And even the announce team has been saying like we haven't truly seen the potential of these two together, and because they kept bringing up Asuka is the longest reigning NXT champion, and Kairi Sane in her matches with Shayna Baszler have been like off the charts. So I feel like the WWE realized that they had to, or I guess the writing team realized that they had to get these two back on the ball. I think at the time they were probably waiting for Paige to come back, but with her having her second surgery, they was like, okay, that's probably not in the cards. Who knows? Or she might show back up on SmackDown with the draft coming out. Who knows? But yeah, it was time for Nikki and Alexa to let go of the belt because they didn't elevate the titles how they could have been when Alexa was holding the title. And I honestly think it's because Alexa's the face. She does so much better heel work, much like Sasha Banks. She does so much better as a heel. But It is what it is. I don't know where Alexa and Nikki go from. Like you said, they probably get a rematch, but I don't know what they go from here. I do want to see that one of them turning on the other to get a nice good little feud out of that, because I feel like they could work really well together once Nikki gets back into like back to form, in my opinion. As like Crazy Nikki, because I really like that version of her. But she is starting to find her stride as she has gotten more camera time and more mic time. So maybe they have to work out some of those kinks in order to propel her to another level. So we shall see in the next couple of weeks.
I kind of like how Alexa did sell it after. Like, what happened to your face? Like, what? Like, that was funny at the end. But yeah, this was another match that was announced like an hour before the event. So, well, luckily I was able to get a good thumbnail for it.
There are no men like me.
Thank you,
Only me.
Cusco, for the subscribe for 19 months. I appreciate it. But yeah, one big problem is now that the Kabuki Warriors are champions, what now? Like, they can't talk on the mic, can they?
I mean, they can. It's just not as
That's why I'm hoping.
I'm also
Paige.
legible, but that's for reading. But yeah, but or let them be. Well, not I keep wanting the monsters, but that's just gonna be overused. Let them just be the tough teen that was like, we don't have to talk, just step into the ring and let's do business.
But maybe it would be cool if Paige is like, because I want to see Paige back, so it would be cool if maybe Paige will be their mouthpiece or something.
Yeah.
We'll
Or
see.
since we haven't seen them on TV, maybe they have been working on English. We don't know.
Maybe. I don't know where it happened, but oh no, actually it happened at the women's SmackDown match, but I think or before that, Tamina ended up winning the 24/7 championship. I don't know if we even mentioned
right.
that, and then later on,
I can't believe I forgot about some of my one of my favorite titles right now.
and then R-Truth ends up winning it back later after Carmella super kicks her. And R-Truth, that happened during the
I thought
now.
Funaki was gonna get the title.
That would be funny, yeah.
That would have been fun, even if it was just for like those 5 seconds. It just would have been cool, as a little nod to the fans of old.
The next match was another impromptu match again, 1 hour prior to it, featuring the OC, which is Gallows and Anderson and AJ Styles, against the Viking Raiders and a teammate to be named, which ended up being Braun Strowman. So the beard power is in super full effect. It was just mayhem. Braun Strowman basically ran around the ring like 14 times, knocking everyone down. The Viking Raiders did their normal power moves. I don't think like the OC ever had any offense. I mean, they did, but they didn't have any what do you call it? Momentum enough to like carry them anything. The only consistent momentum we saw or offense was from AJ Styles, but they were still too big. The opponents were too big for AJ Styles to like knock down, knock out. And in the back, the commentators kept talking about Tyson Fury is probably on Braun Strowman's mind. Tyson Fury is probably on Braun Strowman's mind, and how he's going to show up tonight on Raw. So like you knew something was going to happen with Braun Strowman, like either knocking somebody out or something of the sort. Just to show his power. Which ended up happening where AJ Styles went for a phenomenal forearm, and he got knocked out by a single punch. By Braun Strowman, and then got pinned 1, 2, 3. After the match, the Viking Raiders and Braun Strowman left, but the OC had to help AJ Styles get up, and like he was knocked out like completely. He sold it very well. After he got up, he was like on spaghetti legs, and he sold it very well. And they had to tell him where he was, what day of the week it was, and then he's like, I'm fine. Then he held up the belt to celebrate, but he fell back again into like Gallows' arms. So it was really well done by AJ. But it wasn't really anything spectacular to note in this match, I don't think. We had the stupid thing where this time Braun Strowman ran around the ring, but he knocked down 3 people, like one in succession. Nothing really to write home about in this match, in my opinion. I think the Viking Raiders should get their own time and fight for the Raw Tag Team Championships and all that kind of stuff. Or whatever, I don't know what brand they're even on, honestly, and who knows after this draft anyway. But yeah, let's see them work their way up kind of thing. Well, why not have a King of the Ring for the tag teams? I know they had the Dusty Rhodes Classic in NXT, right? So why not for them in a King of the Ring kind of thing up in the major leagues? Because we have so many tag teams that are just Authors of Pain are going to be coming back because they're doing their promos and such. We have Heavy Machinery, we have the OC, we have The Revival, I think, who might be champions right now. I don't know. No, maybe, I have no idea what the champions are. Maybe Ziggler and Rude.
I think
Ziggler and Rude.
yeah. I was say I was like, right, who are? But yeah,
Well,
it's
whoever it is, like, there's so many tag teams. The Usos are probably coming back eventually. We have the New Day still, but like, I want to see something with like these newer tag teams get up, like get their up and coming deserve what they deserve. But yeah, once again, the Viking Raiders and Braun Strowman end up winning the match. Delisha, any thoughts? Also, another
well, technically
face
they
team win.
didn't win. Well, I guess technically they did anyway. Yeah. Yeah. This match, this again, it had no stakes to it, so it was more like, what was the point besides as like a filler? And then the ending was just to help sell Braun for his bout with what's his name,
Tyson
um
Fury.
Tyson Fury. Yeah. I didn't even know who that was when they showed him on SmackDown. So I was like, okay, sure, whatever. I don't know. I did find it entertaining about the AJ getting knocked out and then being on spaghetti. He's like I said, sold that pretty well, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't the first time Gallows and Anderson had to help him up after and not him knowing where it was, but not for a knockout, but drinking. Anyway, um, so yeah, this match, whatever. That's how I felt.
Yeah, I was talking on a side about this earlier. Well, I mean last night, I guess I should say. About he hates how they have like the cutaways after the match, or this they stay on the actual people on the match like after the match because I think it might be the next match we're about to talk about, or maybe not yet actually. No, there's still one more match after before the women's SmackDown. But after that match ended, they kept showing this one person after the match is over, and it's kind of unnecessary. But here it was actually good. AJ did a good job of like selling it and all that kind of stuff. So that was necessary in this case. Our next match was also another impromptu match, which is why I have no thumbnail, which was like the 18th time we saw this match. It was King Corbin against Chad Gable. Not really anything of note this match either. I think other than Chad Gable kicking out of a deep six, I think it was. But Chad did his normal wrestling stuff. It was the same match we've seen in King of the Ring, on Raw, and the rematch and all that. So it was like nothing new. Nothing new. Like, I don't know why they had to do this match. It made no sense other than to get the STD chant going again, the super tough dude thing that they started on SmackDown. This match was completely necessary other than having Gable put one over. I don't even know how he won. Was it a roll up or something? Roll up. And he got to the 1, 2, 3. They ran out of the ring kind of thing. Like, hey, I won. Later on, Corbin attacks him. Like after he gets interviewed by Kayla Braxton. Baron Corbin attacks Chad Gable, knocks him out, and has to get the assistant referee. But there, I have another face win. So we're at 5-0, 5-1-1. I think we're at right now.
Well, okay, yeah, because with the DQ, I guess that did give it to the faces. So I was like, all right.
But what do you mean? There's no DQ. What DQ?
Yes, it was the Gallows and
I thought Braun pinned him.
No, Gallows and Anderson.
Oh, they attacked him, right? They attacked him, and they finished because they wouldn't get out of the ring after a 5 count. That's what it was. That's what it was. Okay. Yeah, so that's still a victory. Yeah. So 5-1-1, and if we don't really know the status of the Kabuki Warriors, they won by heel tactics. We don't know their status. It could be 5-0-1 still for the heels. That easy, the heels not winning a match, kind of thing. But yeah, so anything that you want to note other than Gable finally getting a victory over Corbin? I think it's an unnecessary match. No point in having it. They could have had someone else in the match, like they could have had a Rusev kind of thing. Rusev, they could have tried to build him up. They end Raw, a season premiere Raw with him. Kind of they ended with him. I know the Fiend came out at the end, but want to put him in this against Lashley or something? Why this again? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, the crowd was probably on that side too. They really weren't with it until the end of the match or towards the latter end of the match, especially after Gable did that rolling powerbomb off Corbin. I mean, on Corbin, which we have seen him do before, but with someone who's like pretty much a whole foot taller than him, which is it was pretty cool to see. Yeah, and now. Well, I was tired of all the short jokes before, but now they like calling him like Shorty Gable.
Shorty
now.
G, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, they're only just calling him Shorty Gable. He changed his Twitter name to Shorty G. Well, he had changed it before the Shorty G, and that's what led to a lot of speculation. But whatever. But yeah, it's we've seen this 2 or 3 times before, so it was really not that much new. They could do. Although I have been. Well, I don't know if enjoying Corbin's the right word, but they've been giving him more time to show off his wrestling skills. So I've been appreciative of that. I even if I don't particularly like a character, I will give credit where credit is due. He has been putting on some really good matches, and him and Gable have a good ring chemistry together. So while again it was a pretty solid matches that we've seen it 2 or 3 times before, so there was really nothing new for us to see except for this time Gable getting an actual win.
One big thing to note that we actually have forgot to mention but you and I talked about this in our group chat is that we did talk about the table being destroyed, the after table being destroyed in the Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan against the Bludgeon Brothers. It was reconstructed before, because usually people sit there with the chairs and the broken table. It was actually reconstructed as a German announced table, I think. It got reconstructed, so that was nice to see. Putting some production back into it.
Dude, they got that Fox money now; they can fix it.
All right, the next match was actually announced, and that featured the SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley defending it against Charlotte Flair.
Yeah, even even though I think this match was already announced, I had forgotten about it. Mainly because I just had a feeling that we were okay. We'll just talk about the match real quick. Bayley did get somewhat shocking, but not shocking because they're in her like home state. I forget where they were, but I guess it's not that far from San Jose. So
they're in Sacramento.
Thank you. I don't know mileage wise if someone on the West Coast can let me know, or just Google search it. I guess they're not that far away. So she did get a cool, I guess, kind of like hometown ish pop. It was a pretty kind of like hard hitting match. Bayley was a little bit more aggressive, and I think actually Charlotte was like bleeding from her mouth a little bit from one of their hits early on in the match. And as you mentioned earlier, there was a lot of leg shots going on. Um, to where and also Flair hitting her natural selection move. But Bayley was able to get onto the rope and make sure she didn't get counted out. I'm not counted out the pin. And then Bayley countered a moonsault with her knees, and then uh, Flair hit her with a slam outside the ring to again flip momentum. So there's a lot of back and forth bouts going on between those two. We actually had Bayley countering the figure eight into a pinning combination, but of course Flair kicked out. Which then she tried to do like a little roll up, and then that didn't work. Because she even tried to use the top rope as because she's supposed to be a heel, but the ref caught her, so that didn't work. And then I believe Flair got her back into the figure eight again for Bayley to tap out, unfortunately. So, both the besties not, I guess the besties on one side winning and regaining the championship, and then the other two besties losing and not getting the championship. So it's kind of again kind of weird at the end of the match. We have Bayley not top of the ramp, but at the end of the ramp, kind of like giving a small little tantrum or maybe a breakdown, some would call it, saying this, why does it always happen to me? Which I thought was maybe kind of like kind of not breaking the fourth wall, but kind of like this so it's happening to Bayley a lot, especially when it comes to Charlotte. And then poor crowd, after even though they were on her side in the beginning, chanting "You tapped out" at the end of the match. I guess in their response to her, why does this happen to me? But I mean, while she wasn't like crying, it's just more like a breakdown at the end of the match, kind of similar to Sasha. So like people were like, "Oh, was this like a knock on them for their quote unquote being crybabies at the end of the WrestleMania match?" I don't know. I think it's just maybe going to be a part of like their like character development going later on. Like I said, I don't know exactly where we're going with that because we don't know the state of what roster they'll be in. I feel like after next Monday when the draft has ended, by then we might get a more clear cut of what they plan to do with them. But overall, the match was good. Charlotte gets her 10th title.
Yeah.
Yay. I don't know. I'm not. Well, I've never been the biggest fan of Charlotte, although I do like her in ring work ethic, and I think she is one of the most like top tier. Not just female athletes, but athletes on the card in general. It's just that she only has like not one speed, but one like character of just being a Flair, and
Mm-hmm.
and being the, I guess, the top tier elite talent. Like I feel like there hasn't been any like real character development for her, but that just could be me just not connecting to her, or relating to her as a character on the show. But I'm curious to see how will who her next challenger will be. If it'll still be Bailey going back for the title, or if we get someone new coming after it.
So before I get to my thoughts on this match, I want to say welcome to Pumpkin, Slater, and Dragon Lord. Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining. Um, I think this is strictly a money deal. SmackDown, Fox actually loves Charlotte, and they wanted to have Charlotte because she's a big name, being a Flair, like you said. So that's the only reason why she won. Like the main reason, I should say, only reason, but the main reason she won is because of Fox's influence, and they really wanted Charlotte. And with her, obviously the draft was rigged anyway, but having her as the centerpiece as the women's champion on SmackDown, that's even better for them, in their eyes. So that's why that's happened. The whole Billy Tantrum thing was kind of annoying, but like I said, what I see happening is maybe Lacey getting drafted to SmackDown and then having a feud, because I think they're very 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 similar to each other, and kind of, they're even looking like alike as well, and having both athletic moves with moonsaults and such. Bigger size, very athletic. I think that's going to be the next feud. That would be a really good feud to see. Charlotte versus Lacey Evans coming up, and maybe Bailey taking a step back for a little bit. Maybe having Bailey and Sasha reclaim the tag team champions again after a little bit. What I was actually thought I was going to see going into Survivor Series was Sasha as the Raw champion, Bailey as women's SmackDown champion, and then them together as the tag team champion. They were going to hold all the belts, just like. But then again, like you said, why would they reward? Well, I think I said that. Why would they reward people for being that? But like you just said, you just said like maybe this was a knock on her for what their kind of behavior, kind of thing. So yeah, I could see that happening.
I mean, I didn't say that. That was the rumor mill.
Oh, the rumor. Okay. I mean, you said it like physically on the show. So
Oh,
I said like I'm saying like you just said like a few minutes ago about that. So I want to give you credit for that. But yeah, so it was a rumor that was spread.
I really hope that's not the case, because that's. I mean, I know pettiness and Vince McMahon kind of go hand in hand, but I feel like after all this time, that's just kind of stupid and just not good business, so to speak. In the long run, but like I said, yeah, maybe this is a part of a character that they're trying to develop with these two. But like I said, it's gonna take another week or two, maybe up until Survivor Series, to really get a grasp on what they're trying to do with both Bailey, Sasha, and even Charlotte and Becky and the women's division in in a whole.
And I think also that, like I said, I think this is another match that's going to lead up to what Survivor Series or wherever it is next. 'Cause we can't kind of crown jewel for the women, obviously, for those reasons. But this is it. Like this is, I think, a setup, like another setup kind of match thing leading into the next pay-per-view. I also like. I think they want to have a big marquee match as like Becky versus Charlotte again, even though we've seen it. But I don't know if we've ever seen it as both of them being champions. I remember Charlotte taking Becky's place because of the whole face-breaking thing to go against Ronda Rousey last year. But I don't think we've seen Charlotte against Becky. Maybe they did 2 years ago. I don't know who the woman champion was for each side 2 Survivor Series ago. If someone could look that up, or if someone knows offhand.
It might have been Bliss.
Was it Alexa versus Charlotte? That could have been it, maybe. But I'm pretty sure Charlotte's been like in that representing one of the brands every year of Survivor Series ever since it dates back to that. I'm pretty sure that's what the case has been. But yeah, it might have been. I think you're right. It might have been Alexa versus Charlotte.
Yeah,
I don't think we've ever had Becky.
Held most of has the most women's titles in WWE, not in total, because I think that moniker might still go to Mickie James, but as like winning the most women's titles ever to win, because Mickie James like has been traveling like all around the world. But yeah, I mean, kudos to Charlotte. Sure, I mean she is a legacy superstar and will continue to do so with her tenure in WWE.
And welcome, Irish. Thank you for joining. And Slater, I did mention that earlier. I said like that the Orton Ali match was probably the best of the night, if not for Becky and Sasha. The Orton Ali match was great. But yeah, so we're currently at 6-0-2 now. 6 wins for the faces, 0 wins for the heels, 2 up in the air because we don't know about Randy Orton's status as well as the Kabuki Warrior status, if they're heels or not. So that brings us to our final match of the evening, which was the second of 2 Hell in a Cell matches that featured the Universal Champion Seth Rollins against The Fiend. No, last year was Ronda Rousey. We're talking about 2 years ago, Dragon Lord. I know last year was Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte Flair, where Charlotte Flair had to take the spot of Becky because of Nia Jax's face breaking. But we're talking about 2 years ago, who fought in the title versus title. Because I think this is the first time we'll see Charlotte versus Becky each having a championship for their respective brands fight at Survivor Series. If it ends up going, but like I said, it might be Sasha going into Survivor Series as a Raw Women's Champion. We'll see. But on to the matter at hand. Once again, we get that awesome entrance by The Fiend, carrying the Bray Wyatt face, skinned over like a lantern.
I love that entrance music.
And the music is the remix of the whatever the original song was called. I don't know who was by or whatever. But it was cool that I love how they just start with the Firefly Funhouse and then it goes and it goes let me in kind of thing. All right, good night, Iris. Thank you for stopping by. This match was not bad. I don't know why everyone's talking about it. It wasn't a bad match. It was what you would expect from a Hell in a Cell match. We had tables, ladders, and chairs. Oh my! We had a sledgehammer, like a Harley Quinn-esque sledgehammer, but the Fiendish style. Thank you, Iris. We had all that, and we had like 17 curb stomps, and they still made the Fiend look strong because, he kicked out at 1. Maybe didn't even have to even kick out. I mean, maybe before even a count he kicked out. Like kind of made like a Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar power kind of thing. Where like let's get out right away. I'm not gonna be phased by anything. What I'd like to have seen him get out or do more of, No, we're not talking about WrestleMania. We're talking about we're talking about like Survivor Series 2 years ago. I don't think, or was that the match? I don't know, but live in fear. Thank you, Slater. Like they made the Fiend look strong. They made him look strong. Like he kicked out of things. Things didn't faze him at all. Also, so that was good. So that made me talk to Side about saying like, well, is that good? Because if they're gonna make him seem invincible, how does one beat him, right? Like, they kind of had this problem with certain characters in the past where they kind of typecast them. If you guys remember Muhammad Hassan, they kind of made him like that Arabic terrorist kind of character, but then when 9/11 happened and all that, the bombings, they kind of had to retract his character, and they actually ultimately ended up releasing him, which was terrible for him because he was a great talent, but he got screwed over by with the character they typecasted him as. Same thing with Eugene. They made him a mentally challenged person. What can you do? Act like, well, all of a sudden you're cured kind of thing? You can't do that, right? So, like, I hope they don't make the Fiend into, like, an invincible object. I can understand how they do with The Undertaker, where he was an invincible object at first, but then eventually he got broken down. Now, I was talking aside about it and saying, hey, maybe he has an object that's the source of his power, like how The Undertaker had his urn. So Sidewalk said, "Why? How about his mask?" I'm like, that's a great idea, because if you take off his mask, then he's Bray Wyatt. So the way he could lose is if his mask breaks somehow, or his mask is taken off. Then he's just Bray Wyatt. And that's how he could lose, because that's how Sidewalk and I came up with that theory. That's how he's not as invincible anymore. Now...
I was saying because, like, it's kind of more like a psychosis thing. Kind of like your Finn Balor and Demon Finn Balor theory, how like when he's a demon he's like a level power 100, but since this is supposed to be like a psychosis for Bray Wyatt, who, to him and the Fiend are two different things. So maybe by breaking down that psychosis, like by removing the mask, you're showing that, look, Bray, you are the Fiend or whatever.
Yeah.
Then that is how you're able to break down the Fiend into not being this overly powerful being, so to speak. But right now you do need him to be that monster because that's what you built him up as.
Right.
Like, yeah.
I agree with you, Slater. I remember that. And Entertain, I agree with you. That's also what Sidewalk said to me as well, that he doesn't need a belt on him because he's just an entertaining character on his own. So he doesn't need the belt. But why do all that to like build him up just out of nowhere kind of thing? Like he could have just attacked anybody over and over. But yeah, you go after what they say the biggest dog or the champion in this case. Maybe it would have been cool if we went after the Undertaker when the Undertaker made a small return. That would have been cool. But yeah, like I think the power behind the mask and the psychosis, all of it is to reveal that he is Bray Wyatt. That could be his breaking point so that he's not invincible as he is now. What I want to see in the match more was him doing the crab walk get up and kind of stuff like that. I know that's more of a Bray Wyatt thing, but like that kind of shows how he's not like human kind of thing. It's kind of like demonic in a way. But yeah, we saw some great spots like chair shots. Yeah, it's just a man thing. Yeah, exactly. We saw some chair shots, some ladder shots, some tables. The sledgehammer thing was kind of stupidly used because we don't see like ever good sledgehammer. Oh, Bray Wyatt sledgehammer. We don't really see good Bray Wyatt sledgehammer things. There wasn't really anything else. Like it was just Bray Wyatt the Fiend taking on the onslaught of Seth Rollins. Be it like 17 curb stomps, pedigrees, just him kept getting up and kicking out until Seth Rollins completely lost it. Had to go for chair shots, then bury him under a ladder, and then put the chair and the ladder on top of each other. Take a toolbox, beat him with a toolbox onto the ladder and chair, thus breaking him down more, throwing every single object on top of him, and finally going out of the ring and getting the sledgehammer. Then, for some stupid reason, the referee gets in the way saying, hey, listen, you're going to kill him or whatever. Like, I don't know why a referee would do that. I'm not blaming the referee, obviously. This is all written, right? Obviously, this is told.
He literally said, this is not who you are. And I'm like, what? Because, since one is the rest the psychiatrist in the match. And
right.
Two, we've never built a storyline of, like, this ref being like friends with Seth, because if they had showed that like previously been friends, then that would make sense. Because like he's like, hey guys,
this is not who you are. Like, shut up, referee. You're there to pin. You're there to pin. That's about or submit.
You have one job.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, so that was the first like strange part of this whole ending. But sorry, go ahead, continue.
And Dragonlord brought up a thing. Like, don't you see the lantern he brings down with his face on it? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna be a source of his power. That's just like an homage to what he used to be, the Bray Wyatt character, what he used to be. Now he's the Fiend, but they can use that light just because his face is on it, right? Like his old face with like that stretched out. So when they take off his mask and he sees that face on his, that's the mirror that he sees. That could kick him out of that trance. That could be used in that case, Dragonlord. But I think it's unmasking him is going to be the key to his power and getting rid of all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I feel as if a lot of it was great. Like it was great up to that point until the referee had to be like, no, this is not you. You're a better person. No, this is a Hell in the Cell match. It's not like, hey, therapy in a cell match. It's a Hell in the Cell. Anything goes. So then Seth I think he hit the toolbox, which hit the ladder, which hit the chair that was on the Fiend's face, and then the referee called for the bell. What? Why? This is Hell in a Cell. You don't call for a bell because that happens. Like, that was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And so they called it a no contest or whatever. Not even a victory for the Fiend. It was a no contest. It was a stoppage, ref stoppage, which is a no contest. So that's a what are we at? 6-0-3 for the night. For no heel wins at all, if you think about it. No heel wins at all. 6-0-3 going in at the end of the night. This is a no decision, so like it's not even a draw. So whatever we get is like 6-0-2-1, if you want to call it even. Why? Why? Okay, if it happened in any other match, I'd have been okay with it. I wouldn't have been okay with the referee going. No, I wouldn't have been okay with the referee. All right, let me rephrase this. If this was not Hell in the Cell, right? If this is a regular match, I can understand the referee saying, "No, you'll be disqualified. You'll be disqualified." Not like this isn't you, right? Like that, he shouldn't have said. But if he's doing his job, saying, "Hey, you'll be disqualified," because they always do that. They say, "Don't hit him with the chair. Don't hit him with the chair." That's consistent. And if they hit him with a chair, you get disqualify him, or a sledgehammer, you disqualify him. This is Hell in a Cell. Anything goes. Why? Why did the referee call for the bell? I understand. I mean, he was told to. Obviously, we know. We're talking about from the real perspective. Why? And that's where the fans went crazy. They started booing. But then, you know what? Biggest slap in the face to the fans. Exactly. But they had to show a way for the Fiend to like stay strong. I mean, he could have just got back up, but they didn't want Seth to lose because if Seth loses, then it'd be the Fiend versus Brock at Survivor Series, and who do they make look weak there? In a way, I guess, right? They can't really do that. So I guess this will be like the rubber match between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar if they end up both having the championship by the time Survivor Series comes along. However, that just is stupid, but the Fiend ended up getting up right away again. Then put the Sister Abigail onto him, because I think he hit a Sister Abigail earlier onto the Hell in the Cell. This time it was on the outside, onto the concrete again. Then did the Mandible Claw, causing Seth to have internal bleeding, which is like clearly a blood packet that was bit down on kind of thing, because there's way too much internal blood. If you had that much internal blood coming out of your mouth, you'd be dead, probably. But yeah, and then him fade to black and the laughter, then he appears on the top of the ramp, fade to black, laughter, and the pay-per-view. Fans stay afterwards. Oh, we can talk about that afterwards. Before we talk about what happened after the pay-per-view, Delisha, your thoughts on the actual match itself?
Pretty much like you said, I was with it all the way up until the ref called for the bell. I've had 24 hours, give or take a few, to like think about it. I think I got all of my anger out by me and my coworker talking about it earlier at work, so I'm not as like angry as much as I immediately was, just more out of frustration, because I I get what they were trying to do. Again, you don't, like you said, you don't want Seth to lose, but you don't want to make the Fiend look weak by taking a pinfall. So they essentially wrote themselves into a corner, and I think, as with a lot of a character that develops popularity in a short span of time out of seemingly nowhere, I think they might have underestimated the Fiend's popularity, because if we remember, by near the end of the match, when I think Seth either kept hitting him with a chair or kept doing the stomp, the fans were booing him.
Yep.
You know, before they were righteously angry, they were booing Seth because they wanted the Fiend to win. So I don't know, maybe the writing staff might have underestimated how popular this character was or is. But so they were themselves in the corner into not wanting to have the other either go over cleanly, so to speak. So it just took one little slight change to what they did. I don't mind the disqualification. Or whatever. I don't mind that. Now, it was the fact that he didn't even hit Bray. Like you said, he hit the ladder, which hit the top or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like if Seth, because I feel like the narrative that they wanted to tell was Seth having to go to a dark place in order to beat the Fiend. So I feel like if they had him
But he didn't even beat him.
repeatedly hitting the Fiend or the ladders or whatever, and then the ref like maybe pushed him off once, but he kept going back, and then the ref was like, all right, well, I can't have you like kill this man or the Fiend and then calling for the bell. I could slightly understand that a little bit more, because then I'm like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I see the narrative that you're trying to tell, but it made what they did didn't make any sense. It also sucks when you have X-Pac on your WWE Network watch along stating, even though he says they're probably going to get on me for this, having a DQ and a Hell in a Cell match makes no sense whatsoever. And then we talk about this a lot throughout the whole year of us doing AfterMat, is a continuity issue. We just had in the same match Bray Wyatt basically almost maul him with the even bigger hammer on the outside of the ring. And in our previous All-Star match, we had Becky Lynch with the freaking chain around her fist, knocking out Sasha in the face. So it's the continuity of which leaves me frustrated, because I'm like, well, I know they have different writers for different sections, but it was like, you guys are all sitting here and not one of you was like, hey, this doesn't make sense. And okay, yes, I also know that Vince makes the final call. We're not backstage. We don't know whose call this was, but it was just small tweaks that they could have done, easily fixable, to make the situation not be as a miss for this match.
Right.
Especially when you have two very popular characters. Like, the fans do still love Seth. Like, every time his music hits, they pop like crazy. They're yelling "burn it down" and whatever. It just so happens that you put him up against a character, one that's new and fresh, and that the fans are en masse getting behind. And like, again, you wrote yourselves into a corner. And a lot of people already had frustrations in the beginning that you were putting the Fiend in a title match too soon, because this easily didn't have to be a championship match. It easily could have been him just being crazy and just going
Yeah.
after people. So it all comes down to they wrote themselves into a corner, and now they have to either adjust or, as they sometimes do, stick their feet in the mud and just push on and go through with it. And we'll just have to tag along for the ride and see what happens.
So a few points that Dragon Lord saying that his power comes from the house. I don't think they can do that again because they kind of did that with Randy Orton with the House of Horror thing, and that kind of failed. So that's not going to be the source of power. So I think it could be his mask or maybe, if anything, his lantern. But it's like you said, it's a psychological thing. Another thing is before we get to like the aftermath of this match, not aftermath, but the aftermath of this match. Like you said, I'll leave that to the writers with you. We're going into it. This kid, I feel like kidnapped and forced to say, yeah, it does say that. I feel like that entertained. Someone, I think, I'm sorry, I apologize. I think it was maybe Slater who said it in the chat. If they do Seth versus Brock at the Survivor Series and it lasts more than 9 seconds, like he's gonna feel bad, like he's gonna feel like stupid because it's gonna be stupid because like Kofi only lasted like 7 seconds. It was, but you can't really say that because
Don't bring up any more pain for me, Cal.
But you can't think about it like that way because the first time Seth fought Brock, I'm pretty sure he beat him in like 13 seconds, because he hit him with the chair, he surprised him and all that. At whatever event, Extreme Rules or whatever it was, then he ended up winning, right? So it wasn't that long. It then took Seth Rollins time to learn. It's a sport. You after losing someone, you go back to the videotape and you watch what happened and what you did wrong, right? And then that's how Seth Rollins was able to build on that and beat Brock Lesnar the next time, kind of thing, and the next 2 times, I guess, the more it is, or whatever it is. Yeah, next 2 times, I guess I should say. But whatever it is, I don't think Kofi's fought Brock this new Brock ever, right? Maybe back in the day they fought, but not now, not recently. So his game plan was to go in high flying, and Brock caught him. He got caught. People get caught in UFC. They get caught all the time. They can have the best game plan in the world, and you can get caught. People make mistakes on the field in sports or on the ice in sports. Anything mistakes happen, and Kofi made a mistake. That's why he lost so quickly. And then next time if they fight again, he'll think, I'm not gonna run in and jump at him because obviously he can catch me in F5. He'll go down, maybe shoot for the legs. That's why you can't say, you can't compare 2 people and say if this guy lost in 7 seconds, now this guy has to lose in 5. Otherwise, it's not gonna be the same. No, people approach things differently, and especially if you fought somebody multiple times, you learn their style and what they do. That's what a wrestler should be doing, especially someone of the caliber of Seth Rollins. Kofi is the same caliber. Next time he fights Brock, he'll probably guarantee it won't be 7 seconds. He'll think it over and do it differently. That's my point to what you're saying. Now to get to the actual aftermath of what happened. You're talking about the writers, right? Maybe as the writer said it, Vince ultimately has the last call on whatever, last say, last word. Maybe it's just they don't want the WWE Universe to dictate what happens anymore. Maybe they're taking it into their own hands, kind of thing. Because kind of a lot of the Kofi's rise and Daniel Bryan's rise and all that kind of stuff, it's because the fans are so behind them, right? They're so behind them, and they kind of have to write the story to go that way. Now they have a point A, they have a point B, like I said, and they want to get there. And they have to have this hump that sometimes the roller coaster goes up and then it goes down and then it goes back up. They're trying to get to that point. And people are going to be pissed now, but like I said, maybe there's another aspect of what I was saying. Maybe this was written for the future, to see what happens at the end goal, the end game, right? If you guys have seen Infinity War, a huge thing happens where you lose a lot of the people, but there was an end game at the end, right? Tony Dr. Strange giving away the time stone. Why would you ever do that? Everyone's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Why would you do the one thing that he needs, and probably, if not the most powerful of those stones, why give that away? That's so stupid. Why have Seth Rollins do what he did? So stupid, right? There's an end game, possibly. I hope. I'm putting my stock into there being a hope that there's an end game at the end of this, and not letting the WWE Universe dictate how champions are made and who becomes champion. That the writers are actually doing their job and creatives doing their job. And I'm sure they probably are, because now they have all this stock at Fox. And I know this is not on Fox, so this is Raw, but they still want to remain the flagship after SmackDown had such a huge success, right? They want to keep on par, but like because it's supposed to be the flagship of the WWE. So hoping creative. That's what I'm gonna put my stake on it. I'm not gonna be so pissed about it. I didn't want to see that happen because I'm more pissed at like why did you end a match a Hell in a Cell like that? That's what I'm mad about. Because Seth didn't win. So let's. I'm banking on creative. It being creative in the long term. That's what I'm going to stick by right now, and that's going to come out, of course, in my finishers when we get to that. So your thoughts about also the aftermath was like that people are booing. They said after the fact they booed. People have the cancel WWE Network Twitter trending thing. Can you stop the creative team? No, you cannot stop. Because maybe they're listening to me, so I could be part of the creative team, and then I'd be gone. But yeah, so. Long thing. So we had the cancel WWE Network. We had the booing, people saying after and booing. A lot of other superstars are like, what the hell happened? Like you said with X-Pac and like people tweeting about it. But we don't know what the end game is yet. So let's wait for that. So with that said, Felicia, your thoughts about the aftermath?
Yeah, like I said, as with a lot in Twitter, but with social media in general, it's always like instant reaction. So like I said, I don't think I tweeted at all last night. Well, one, my phone was dying, and two, yeah, I just didn't want to be a part of like the negativity because that's just not who I am. But yeah, it's like I said before, I wasn't mad at the decision that they made. It was just the execution of what they were trying to do just didn't do it for me. It didn't make any sense. So I too am hopeful that there is sort of a long game or end game in what story that they're trying to tell. It's just that this particular chapter felt kind of flaccid. So I was like, all right, next chapter, let's see what we got. But yeah, I feel like fans need to calm down. We get too easily. I don't want to say the word triggered because I feel like that in itself was a triggering response. But it's just like calm down, guys. Like it's just TV. It's just wrestling. It's not that serious to get all hyped up about. But if you feel you want to cancel the subscription, go right ahead. That's your right as a consumer, and you get to choose where you put your money. And I would never fault anyone for doing so. It may not even just be because of this match. It could be a lot of smaller things, and this was just like the last straw for them. So be it. We'll still be here recapping the pay-per-views and talking about wrestling because we just love it too much. But I don't know. I always be like, okay, well, we are entering a new chapter in WWE's history and in wrestling history overall. So I am kind of curious to see how the next few months are going to go up until WrestleMania. And let's see. I feel like that would be a better, well, even a year from going over to Fox, it will be a better marquee of how things could and can and will go. So that's why I'm willing to like stick it out as a fan to figure out like what is it that W trying to do. So yeah, overall, I'm forever hopeful in almost everything, but especially in this wrestling because I love it so much that I don't know, I can't see myself like giving it up.
Yes, that's what Slater's echoing, saying like it's like Stockholm syndrome. Even if they let me down, I always come back for more. I'm going to leave you guys with this thought before we get into our finishers. Is that like think about like I said earlier about the chase. The chase is more where people want to see, right? I, along with a lot of people, were really upset at Elimination Chamber when Kofi didn't win because everyone was so behind Kofi after that. He lasted like 47 hours on SmackDown, eliminating like every single roster superstar to get a slot into the match, right? And then he didn't win, but like at the edge of our seat, like I was actually like screaming, like when Daniel Bryan hit him with the knee and like he kicked out of it. I'm like, yes, he's finally gonna win, and then he didn't win, and everyone was so disappointed, tweeting, why didn't Kofi win? Why didn't Kofi win? Well, what did we get a few weeks later, or maybe a month and a half later? We got Kofi Mania, and the moment we saw with his son on stage, I think that might have won like our AfterMat award, possibly Kofi winning, possibly I can't remember exactly, but it might have won. Like the passion that the emotion that he showed, the New Day shared with him, his son, his family shared with him. That's what we got after being disappointed at Elimination Chamber. So keep that in mind because we were disappointed last night. I mean, like I'm not going to give up the fact that there's a Hell in a Cell match. Like you talked about consistency, you cannot do that, and the referee cannot be a psychologist. Those are two things that my two gripes. The way it ended was stupid, but hey, like I said, let's wait to see what happens before we judge it. You know, people make rash decisions and tweet about it right away because the availability of social media. Like Delisha said, she talked about a coworker and felt a little better when she got to work. Back when we were younger, or at least when I was younger, like social media didn't exist. So I had to wait till I got to school on Monday morning, in the next morning, and talk to my friends about, hey, did you watch the pay-per-view last night? Can you believe that happened? And then we talk about it and discuss it, kind of thing. So, like, think about that. Think about it before you react this strictly. I mean, I did react to it, like, what the hell is that? Like, I did say that. But, like, I was more on the fact that it was, why is there a disqualification in a Hell in a Cell, and why is the ref being a psychologist, kind of thing. So that's my thoughts about it. You know, let's wait and see what happens. Now, come WrestleMania, and this still doesn't get resolved, I'm going to be like, go back to this and slap old Cal for saying stick with them because you don't know what's going to happen, kind of thing. But yeah. All right, so with that said, I guess, do you have any more thoughts about this match, or can we go on to our finishers?
Nah, I'm good. I said all I could say.
All right, so Delisha, I'm going to start with you. Start with your low point, your high point. I'm going to say we're probably going to have very similar things here coming up, but your low point, your high point, and your overall grade.
My low point is just because I know everyone wants it to be the Fiend. I'm just gonna go with booking decisions, and the way some of these matches / storylines played out. Well, on a narrative scale, I'm not sure what they were trying to get over. It just didn't land with me. These are, and just as a fact, for a lot of things, these are all me and Cal's opinions of things, not set in stone. This is how it should be, because I'm not a writer. I'm not a creative pundit or whatever. This is just me as a fan watching a product that I love. I just wanted to get that statement out there. But
wait, before you go, we got a few chatters about what's going on. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but how do you book a monster heel? They've done it with Taker. They've done it with Kane. They kind of did it with Braun Strowman as well. And Bray Wyatt was that heel that was chasing before that. Just a regular Bray Wyatt, who's also a supernatural figure. They had him chase before, so it's not unlikely. It's happened before in the past. There is precedent for it.
And I was watching a few of his matches because I went down a wormhole, as I sometimes do. Umaga was a monster heel. May he rest in peace. Who got built up for a long period of time. It does seem that I feel like Kane and Taker, they're kind of like those upper echelon GOAT status characters that almost no matter what they do, they always can seem to maintain their monsterness, so to speak. While we do get others like the Big Show and Braun up and down the last couple of years, who they seem to not know what to do with after a period of time. So it has its pros, and it definitely has its cons, and sometimes they do write themselves in a corner. But the monster character can be a lasting effect.
No, he was talking about how do you build up a monster character as a chase. It's better as a babyface as a chase. That's what I was saying. They've had Kane chase, they've had Taker chase, they've had Bray chase. That's what I meant. They've had monster heels chase.
Well, in this particular sense, for the Fiend, and just the Fiend in particular, as for our most recent example, I feel like because we started out with Bray being this cult leader type persona, not necessarily a monster character, but a sinister character, so to speak, that they kind of dropped the ball with as the time went on. And I feel like with this, because they injected such a freshness into this Bray Wyatt character, I feel like it was something the fans could kind of get behind, and it's something new, something fresh, something we haven't quite seen before, or haven't seen before in this aspect in a very long time. So I feel like with the fans, and that it's always about the anticipation of wanting to see this monster character get over, because it's over with us. We want to see it get over on TV and have him get that ultimate, what every superstar wants to get, is that title gold. So I feel like with and then we're kind of in a new scheme and of stuff where we don't have a lot of clear cut heels and faces. We do have a lot of people who kind of told the line, to where the fans will cheer or boo to their discretion, not exactly be being based on
Right.
what WWE trying to tell us. It's what we, the fans, are saying. Okay, you are going to be heel because we don't like you, or you're a heel, but we still like you, so we're going to cheer for you. Kind of like KO, who's kind of like the
Yeah.
anti-hero. We're seeing a bit more shaping of that. And while the Fiend isn't technically an anti-hero because he's doing a lot of nefarious things in the ring, it's something new and fresh, which is what the fans have been clamoring for a long time, and that's why they're getting behind it, and that's why it it, it is a chase, but not in the traditional sense.
Right. And what I was going to reiterate what you said, it doesn't matter be it a heel or a face. If the fans are behind you, the chase will carry along with. It's like a wave that you ride. It doesn't matter if you're a heel or face. Look at Austin when he first came through King of the Ring. He was a heel, but yet the chase still happened and everyone loved him. So it doesn't matter. One more, and then he said he's gonna have baby powder ready to slap me at WrestleMania if it doesn't happen. Or Ayrton says Thanos snap Vince, and then Entertain chimed in with an AE dub. Entertain, stick around because I think Delisha will have an announcement to make at the end of our night about AEW and stuff like that you want to hear about. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Delisha, if you want to go on with your finishers.
Yeah, so the low point was just booking decisions that didn't land with me. High point is, bar none, is Becky and Sasha. That match started out this pay-per-view with such high expectations and momentum carrying that I was like, oh man, all right, we got a good pay-per-view going, and then it up to you. It maybe not have landed, but this was bar none the match of the night. These ladies put it all out on the line. I know that Tom and Cal didn't quite like the Sasha Banks and Charlotte Hell in a Cell either last year or 2 years ago. But they more than made up for it, I think, in this match. They allow the women to go the distance and take a lot of chances, which they don't always let them do in these big high risk matches. So I'm really proud of them for these ladies for putting it all on the line, and the fans got behind them. Whether you like Becky winning or wanting Sasha to win or having how they had Sasha have her character in the match, it doesn't take away from the fact that they put on an awesome match, and it goes to show of why the fans get behind them in the first place. And my overall grade, I think I'm going to give it a C minus, to where there wasn't really a terrible match on the card. It just got overshadowed by the funk of the ending of that of Bray and Seth. But all the matches were good to fine to Becky and Sasha were great. So I saw C minus.
All right, wow, that's kind of like a low grade for you, especially when you give like really bad pay per views like B pluses and B minuses. That's kind of weird to see, but I'm gonna switch it up a little bit to be different for you for my finishes, a little bit different. My low point, obviously, I have to go with why do we have psychologists in the ring? Also, why causes disqualification, whatever you want to call it, no contest in a Hell in a Cell when anything goes. So that's my low point. My high point, like I said, I love the Becky and Sasha thing, but I also love the Ali and Orton thing. Because Morton couldn't expect anything from Orton, kind of thing, you know? And the fact that he showed real emotion after the match, like, great job. Like, he was like patting Ali afterwards. I thought it was great. So I'm going to probably say that was my high point, because that match was great as well. For my grade, surprisingly, I'm going to give it an A minus. It would be an A. It would be an A plus if my low point didn't happen. Right? It would be an A had we not had stupid matches like Corbin and Gable for the 15 millionth time, and as well as other matches I didn't care about. So I'm going to go without the highest low A you can go with, which is later Arrington, is A minus. So I really enjoyed it. It was a good pay-per-view, except for like the few little nitpicks I had. So that's surprising. I'm going to give it an A minus.
This might be the biggest disparity me and you have had
Yeah.
ever.
Well, I don't know. Oh yeah, I guess yeah. D minus low point. Slater says D minus low point is the end. High point is Ali versus Orton. Yeah. So, but I think all your grades, like the D minus. I don't think it was a great. I think it was a great pay per view overall. I think everyone's just that last thing is really bringing. It's like an anchor on people.
I gave
I'm trying
it
to see it as.
not a D.
No, I'm talking about Slater in the chat.
Oh,
so that's why I'm breaking it down one by one, and I'm saying what I'm taking away from, because I think all the matches are great except for like why do we have Corbin? Still, Corbin Gable is a good match, but I just want to see it again. That's what I'm taking a point away for, as well as seeing like some extraneous matches that we didn't need, like Lacey and that. But I'm pretty sure I don't really count towards it, but you know what I mean, like that kind of stuff. That's why I play it A minus. But yeah, before we go, Delisha, where can we find you? Because I have your social media and all that underneath us right now, but make sure you let them know what else is going on.
Yeah, well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Delisha_Renee. And you can find me in a few weeks doing our season 1 finale of After Talk, where we do a little more in-depth conversation about wrestling. We did go longer than we usually do tonight, but we kind of had a lot to say about a wrestling community in general. But we're going to talk about that more at length with our next episode, what we're calling our State of the Federation address, where we kind of talk about the wrestling industry or sports entertainment, not actual wrestling, because um, in a whole on how we think we have it has become within the last couple of years, because we got a lot of new, well, I guess not new, but we have a lot more mainstream and accessibility to more wrestling shows now. So there's a lot more out there than just WWE and TNA, and I guess Ring of Honor and New Japan's been around for a while, but it seems like WWE and TNA were the sort of like two more easily accessible programs to get to. But now we have a lot more, especially with the internet and streaming. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and how WWE, because they are the stronghold company, they're the Disney of wrestling, how they have respond or can respond, and do these other companies have a chance to make a big stronghold in a big step, as WWE has been able to do for the last 20-25 years that they've been on television. So we're just gonna talk a little more in depth about that. So hopefully you guys come join us. And that'll
Yeah,
be I think we settled on December 2nd.
I think December 2nd. Yeah, we're looking at
So
that.
look out for tweets to know for
Yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
hopefully you
So
guys
like,
come by and we can talk about wrestling
if
more.
if you guys are fans, like we're gonna talk about, and mostly talk about WWE here, but in that after talk, they'll be talking about NXT, AEW, as well as any other like New Japan, whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever they research into, they'll be mentioning. So it's a little bit broader aspect than what we normally cover on AfterMat. So After Talk will be a broader aspect of everything. So I know a lot of you guys have been chanting AEW, watching AEW, talking to me about that. So make sure you check that out. Also, while you were saying that Entertain gave his thing, he gave it a B. So it was a really solid pay-per-view, except for the ending, is what he said. And Slater said, to be fair, he is on vacation, so he didn't really get to watch the pay-per-view as a whole, so his D- might not be the most accurate grade after he watches it, sit down and watches it. But I'm hoping you're enjoying your vacation. Thank you for joining us during your vacation as well. So, yeah. As for me, I am the People's Champ Kingslayer. Sorry, wow, wrong show. I am the People's Champ Cal. You can find me here on the Kingslayer Network on YouTube and Twitch. Now that we're on Twitch as well, live streaming on to both at the same time, we'll be. You can also hit me up directly at KingslayerNet, but you see all our social medias on the bottom right over here. The next time you'll see us is on Survivor Series for AfterMat. The pay-per-view itself is on November 24th, so you'll see us on the Monday after that, and November 25th. I'll be streaming for the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and then Thursday after I see Gemini Man. I'm taking my parents to the movies for Gemini Man, so when I get back from that, I will be streaming with Halo_Spyth, Geek Time and Nerd, and Randall Sands. But yeah, until then, guys, thank you guys for joining us. This has been Hell in a Cell 2019. And remember to keep slamming the haters, especially the ones that say cancel WWE Network, because otherwise you won't be getting this. And be the champion of your dreams. See you guys later. Thank you.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. wastelands through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go through